Alright, so this video is over points, lines, and planes. On Friday, you did the basic vocab. Today, we're going to kind of look at the diagrams and talk about and apply that vocab. This is the last thing you need for this test. Your test is this Thursday. So what I've done for this video is I have a couple different diagrams, and with each one I have different questions. Some may be repeats, but they're just questions I really need you to know for the test on Thursday. So number one, I asked you to list a point collinear with B and D. So remember, collinear means I can connect them with one line. So we're looking at point B, we're looking at point D. Now if I wanted to connect those two with a straight line, I need a point that lies on that line as well. And although it doesn't have a point right there, E is a dot or a point. So when I look at this, the only point that lies on that line besides B and D is point E. Now number two, I asked you to list a point collinear with C and E. So I'm going to go ahead and draw a line through C and E. When I look at that, the only other point that lies on that same line is A. So number three, I ask you, are points A, E, and C coplanar? So we're going to look at them first. You have A, E, and C. And number two, we found out that these 3 points form a line, they're collinear. So your definition of coplanar, remember, is 3 or more points that form a plane. But those 3 points have to be non-collinear. So A, E, and C are not coplanar, so no, and it's because they're collinear. So because they are collinear, and I'm just going to abbreviate it because there's no space. So in order for them to be coplanar, they would have to not form a line together. They would have to not be collinear. And the last question for this diagram, list a point that would be coplanar with C and B. So I have point C and I have point B. I'm going to draw a line through them so we can look, because remember, if they're coplanar, they can't be on the same line. So any of the other points on this diagram would work. I'm just going to go ahead and pick A because it's all the way out. So I'm going to say that point A would be coplanar with C and B because they're not collinear together. Now for this new diagram, number 5, I say name all the points shown on this diagram. Remember, a point is named with a capital letter. So I'm just going to start down here. You have point A, point B, point C, point D, and finally point E. Number 6, I ask you, what is a name for this plane? Remember, you can name a plane from 3 points, but on this diagram, we have this capital, it's like an italic letter. So this plane would also be called plane, and that's an N. And so that names the entire plane. Number 7 are A, B, and C coplanar. So I have A, B, and C. If you look, there's a line already drawn through them. I know A, B, and C are collinear. So because they're collinear, they cannot be coplanar. And then number 8, I ask you to list a set of coplanar points. So all you're going to do is you're going to pick 3 points that you cannot connect with a line. So I for sure am going to use E. And then the other 2 can come from the line. I'm going to do C and D. There's no way I can connect all 3 of these points with one line. So a set of coplanar points on here would be E, C, and D. Remember, the order of those don't matter. Pay attention to them on your test with the answer choices. So these next 2 diagrams, the questions are a little different. I just wanted to give you a variety of questions. So number 9, I tell you to name the point that line DE intersects the plane at. So when I look at this diagram, I'm going to highlight or draw in red where line DE is. I know that because the name DE tells me what points it goes through. Now, the part where it intersects, I'm going to erase this, you can see that it turns into a dashed line. So right there is the intersection. And if I look, the line goes from solid to dashed at point B. So I know that line DE intersects the plane at point B. So remember, when it goes from solid to a dashed line, that's the intersection point. So now number 10, I want you to name 2 sets of collinear points. Remember, you only need 2 points for it to be collinear. So just for fun, I'm going to choose these 2 points. So I'm going to have B and C. Any 2 points are always collinear. And then I'm also going to go with A and E. Just because they're not on the plane together does not mean they're not collinear. Any 2 points are always collinear. So B and C are one, and A and E are another one. They're separate. I wanted 2 separate sets. And then number 11, I want you to name 2 sets of coplanar points. So remember, they cannot be collinear. So if I look, D and B make a line together. But if I was to go B to C, that's a second line. So I'm going to go ahead and list my first set as D, B, and C. So remember, that's just one set of coplanar points. So then my second set, I'm going to choose 3 other points that are non-collinear together. And I'm just going to do the same thing, D, B, but this time I'm going to choose A. So my 2 sets of coplanar points are D, B, and C, and then another set would be D, B, and A. This last diagram, we're going to do some true or false questions, which are a majority of the ones on your test. So number 12, I ask you true or false, points H and F are not collinear. So I'm going to go to the diagram, I'm going to circle them. H and F are not collinear. You can see that I can connect them by a line. But you need to know it does not matter what 2 points, any 2 points are always collinear. So the answer to this question would be false because any 2 points are always collinear. Now number 13, I say points D, E, and F are coplanar. I've said this throughout this whole video. They have to be non-collinear to be coplanar. You can connect all 3 of these by a line, so it is false because they're collinear. Now, number 14, I say points H, E, and F are collinear. I cannot connect these by one line, so that is false. They are not collinear. And then the last one, it says line HE, so this line right here, intersects the plane, which is drawn, the plane that's drawn, at point G. So remember, we talked about this, I think, in the last diagram or the one before. I need to look at line HE. So it goes from solid to dashed right here. So that means this point is my intersection. And I said in the statement that line HE intersected at point G. That's not true. It intersects at point E. So number 15 is also false. Make sure you know how to do these. They are on your 2 reviews you have for the test, and then of course they will be on your test Thursday. I have released the first review. You're going to start working on that, and tomorrow I'm actually going to release the YouTube video where I work through the whole review. So go ahead and try it on your own. If you have any questions, please email me or text me on Remind, or you can wait until the video tomorrow.